I am going to now just take us through a little bit of an introduction for some of you who haven't met us yet. I'm here with Greg Payne, who's the Director of Readysell. He's out the back there. And because we're on home turf today, we've got Alicia and Sharon here as well. So if you have any questions, throughout the breaks or anything, they're both experts in the web integration side of Readysell and WebEx, so they can help you out. And of course, if you want to learn more about Readysell, you can go and talk to Greg. Just a quick introduction to our company. Readysell was established in 1992, so well before me and most of these guys, but Greg was there, so he can tell you all about that. We have a focus on small to medium businesses and a real heavy focus on the office supplies industry. So we currently have our system in over 50 Office Brands members across the board, OPD, Office National, ONET. And there's just a little photo of our team. We're based out in Milperra here in Sydney, so if there's anyone local, you're free to come out and visit us. And just a bit of what I'll be covering throughout the afternoon. So I'm just going to kick off before lunch with a bit of an introduction and overview to Readysell 8. So if you're coming from Readysell 7, or if you're not familiar with Readysell, just to talk about our product and give you an idea about the feature set and what we have to offer. Then we'll go to lunch, and then we're going to cover off some training. Firstly, the Readysell 8 integration and how that works. Then for the Readysell 7 integration, I'm going to be talking more about some pain points and areas where people particularly need some additional training, because if you're on Readysell 7, you will have had integration now for years, so you don't need that basic introduction. Then Greg will come up, he'll talk a little bit about some of the work we've been doing in Readysell 7, so if you're a Readysell 7 customer, some of the new features we have available to you. And then that general Q&A that Ritesh talked about, we can answer any questions that you have about integration, about Readysell, WebEx, the whole lot. And then after afternoon tea, there'll be a more in-depth workshop about reporting and getting the most out of your Readysell 8 system. So that's more for if you're already a Readysell 8 customer, but you're welcome to stay and look at some of the features that Readysell 8 has to offer if that interests you. All right, so I'll get started. All right, so apologies if you were in on the session that we had at Expo. This is quite similar to that, but it's just a bit of an introduction to Readysell 8. So what I'd like to cover first is some of the benefits that Readysell 8 can have to your business, whether you're coming from version 7 or from another ERP system. I'll be talking about how we can enhance your staff's efficiency, automate your service work, so if you're doing managed print services or you're servicing machines. Some of the great integration Readysell has with email and phone systems to try and control and monitor your electronic messages, about the Readysell alert system, and then a bit about how our development process works. Okay. So some of the things about Readysell version 8 in particular that are great for enhancing your staff efficiency. Firstly is our unparalleled WebEx integration, and I'll go into that in some more detail later, but we've got lots of points of integration with WebEx, and we're adding more all the time. Ritesh just mentioned today that we're adding in the ability to register customers directly from your ERP system, and we're working on favourites integration. Those are just the two of the next things that are coming up. We're constantly looking for new areas where we can integrate. The reporting engines in Readysell 8 are greatly improved from version 7. We have 3 reporting engines, which I'll be covering off in the afternoon session, but you have a lot of abilities to report on your data at a high level all the way down to a detail level. And some of those reporting engines are built, really for simplicity for the end users. Others are more for, the more technical users, and but you can do a lot of detailed stuff with that. Then we've got our market-leading financials. So a lot of the feedback we got from the Readysell 7 product is that we should do a lot of work on our general ledger and our financials. So that was one of our big goals in Readysell 8. So we've completely revamped the way that we handle financials, and you'll find, I won't go into much detail on that today, and if you're interested you can talk to me about it though, but we've really done a lot of work on that. Our automated warehousing, so Readysell 8 allows you to set up your system in a way where it will automatically monitor your system for back orders coming in, orders coming in off the web, and then automatically print out picking slips in your warehouse based on your own warehouse's capacity. So you can do things like say, my warehouse can pick 10 orders at once, and then the system will automatically print stuff out on the warehouse printer, or soon, we're going to integrate that with a mobile application that we're working with, and try and give you some of that big, warehouse automation stuff for a small business. Our automated purchasing is something that Readysell 7 customers are already familiar with, but we've been working on that even further, and that's all about giving you the flexibility to automate your purchasing based on demand or based on your particular business needs. So, if you're a service shop and you need to make sure you have a certain level of parts available to you at all times, you can make sure that certain categories across your product are ordered on a min-max basis, and you have the base level of parts available, whereas other areas where you might be selling through regular stationery, you want the system just to automate how much you order based on past customer buying patterns. So that's something that is greatly improved in version 8. Everything exports to Excel or any spreadsheeting program. So if you've got a particular view on the screen, just hit one button, you can send it out to an XLS file, and that's really handy for when you're doing bulk data work. The modern familiar office inspired layout, so I'll show you a demo of the system later, but essentially our focus is to try and make this system as easy to use for new users as possible, so it has a lot of those themes that you're used to if you use Outlook or other Office applications. And the flexible drag and drop customization. So again, that will be covered in the afternoon session, but essentially if you are not happy with the way that a particular screen's laid out, it's very simple to make those changes, and you can even distribute those within your organisation. So if you have a sales team who is not interested in seeing particular information on the screen, they just want a screen that's optimised for them to enter orders, you can take off the fields that you're not interested in, move the ones that they use all the time right to the front, save that, and everyone in your sales team can use that particular screen layout. Alright, automating service jobs and managed print services. So this is a new module that we've introduced in Readysell version 8, and we essentially targeting managed print services and servicing of machines. So we can track your parts performance. So anytime you sell a part on a service order, we associate that back with the machine that that's come from, and you can print out reports to show how particular machines are working and how particular parts are performing. That allows you to do things like get rebates from your suppliers if you have particular parts that are performing below what they're spec'd. You can generate a report and you can get some revenue back for that. Automatic job generation, working on integrating this with our mobile application so that you'll be able to, technician will see their jobs on the screen. When they go out, they can just go look at their job, put in the information, it will track their GPS location, they can put in any meter counts while they're out there, and that's all synchronized back to the system. Tracking the callbacks, incomplete calls, machine profit, so we just allow you to track a lot of information and then report on that to improve your efficiency. Controlling your phone and electronic messages. So the reason we're highlighting this is it's just a unique feature that we have. We're working on improving it even further at the moment with Office brands. And essentially the system will capture any inbound or outbound emails or telephone calls and fax messages if you're still working on fax. And it gives you a single view of those messages, which allows you to keep a track on your customers' communication. So that requires certain phone system integration, and I won't go into the details, but that's a unique feature that many people find helpful. And alert rules. So Readysell allows you to set up various rules on when particular actions happen in the system, and those rules can be used to send email reminders, SMS notices, or just pop up on the screen of the user, and that allows you to try and automate certain issues in your business. So we've got a couple of examples there. If an account goes overdue or an order goes overdue, you can make sure that an alert is raised. If we have a check for debt accounts, so once every day you can check if there's any new debt accounts, and then based on whatever your criteria is for debt accounts, and then that can be sent to the appropriate person who can go and chase that up. If a quotation gets rejected, if there's a new flyer from Office Brands that you haven't loaded and it's about to start, an alert can be sent to you. So this is something that we work with you to configure. If you have particular rules that are not currently covered in the system, we can put those in, and our goal is to continue expanding this alert system so that your system will proactively warn you if there's any issues about to occur rather than you finding out after the fact. And just a bit about our development process. So we've changed the way that we develop from Readysell 7 to Readysell 8. We're using an agile development methodology, which essentially means every month we take a look at what are the top features and changes that we want to integrate this month, and we work out what we can work on, and then we spend a month developing it and then testing it and releasing it. So that means every month we have a new feature release of Readysell, and that allows us to continue momentum and get feedback on an iterative basis rather than waiting 6 months or a year between big releases. We try to do a bit at a time, and that means that we find it easier to adjust as new things come along. So if Office Brands offers us a new ability to integrate a feature, then we can get onto that within a couple of months rather than having to wait for the next big release before we can put it in there. The way that we gather feedback for this process is we have an online suggestion box. You can go in there if it's a feature that we feel is not necessarily core to the program. We're not going to put it directly in the backlog. You can put that feature in there. Other members can vote and comment on those features, and then every month when we do our planning for the next sprint, we look at those features and we look at what are the top things that people are requesting, and we integrate those into the product. I'd like to now talk about a couple of our key competitive advantages, so some things that are unique about Readysell. We've got an automated competitor pricing, so Office Brands do some great work. They scrape data from Officeworks, Office Max, Office Choice, and Staples, and they pour this all into their business intelligence database back here. Now what we do is every night we update any competitor prices straight into your Readysell system. So that gives you a few advantages. One is just on your product file. If you're just looking at your pricing, you can see straight away how that stacks up against your competitors' pricing. So you can see if the price that you're offering the product at is competitive or not. But more proactively, if you're putting in a sale and a competitor, one or more competitors, comes up with a better price than you, we'll show a little warning. It's unobtrusive. It's just a yellow box in the corner that shows you, hey, this price is not competitive. That's great if you're doing quoting, for example. You want to make sure that you're matching or you're coming close to your competitors' prices. So it just gives you a way to do that without having to constantly refer back to your competitors' websites. Our live stock on hand feeds. So this is a fairly new feature, and we're still working with a lot of suppliers to try and get this up and running. But essentially, it allows you to view stock levels at your suppliers right within your system. So in this case, you can see dynamic supplies supplies this product, and we've got you can just press the show supplier stock levels button. It will pull down the current stock level from the supplier, so you know straight away before you order that product, whether it's going to go onto back order. So we're working with more suppliers through the Supply Connect program that Office Brands is working on, and that will allow us to enable that for even more suppliers. And just our Office Brands integration, I'm going to cover some of this off after lunch, but we've got a whole lot of touch points for Office Brands integration. Our synchronization with WebEx, everything you'd expect, our products and their descriptions, images, pricing, they all go up automatically. If it's your own product, we send that all up. If it's an Office Brands catalog product, we automatically detect that and we send up just the pricing. Contract prices, so whole range of contract prices are supported. There's, and I'll go into that in more detail later. Your product category tree, so any categories updates that Office Brands does automatically synchronize down to your product file. Web orders obviously come down into your system and invoices flow back up to the web. Automated updates through the data portal. So Readysell 8, we've really worked hard on improving that integration with the data portal. So you can choose whether or not you go through the standard manual review process that you're probably familiar with, where the catalogue will be loaded into your system, and then you can look at the catalogue, and when you're ready, you hit a load button and then you choose how you want it to load. But you can do a fully automated process if you want as well. So you can say, any catalogue product that comes from Office Brands, I want that pulled directly into my system and updated as soon as there's an update at the Office Brands end, or certain catalogues. So if you don't load the furniture catalogue, then you can exclude the furniture catalogue and you can pull in all of the others, or it's up to you. It's really granular, and that happens every night. So every night we get fresh data from Office Brands, and we put all of it in your price book if you want to access it ad hoc, but you can put it straight into your product file as well if you like. Automated reporting of national account and local buy sales. So if you're currently manually, if you're doing national accounts or local buy sales, there's a process that you have to upload this data to Office Brands so that they can go and handle the invoicing side and have that reporting available. Readysell can handle that for you automatically. So at the end of every night, we'll just look at whatever sales you have that are national accounts and local buys and just upload that data for you. Business intelligence upload. So you're probably less interested in the upload, more interested in the outcome, but we will automatically pick up any of your BI data, sales data. At the end of every week we send it up, and that gives you access to all of that business intelligence data on the Office Brands BI platform. Real-time your rewards balance on the web. So this is something that was touched on earlier. If you have your rewards set up, your customer can log onto the website, they'll see their points balance, they can look at their recent purchases and how many points they gained from those purchases, recent redemptions, and how much that costs them in terms of points. So all of that is managed from your ERP, and the big benefit of that is any sales that you do outside of the web are also counted against that rewards program. If you don't have that your rewards integration and your points are being calculated on the web, that means that you're going to have trouble where sales that are not on the web are not counted against it, and you'll get a discrepancy, and the customer might not be getting all the points they're eligible for. By managing it all out of Readysell gives you not only that, but a whole range of flexible options on how you handle your points, how many points, specific categories, accrue, etc. And I'll cover that a little bit later in the Readysell 8 training. And the competitor pricing, which I touched on earlier, that updates every day from Office Brands. Our mobile app. So this one's been a long time coming, and you probably, if you've been to any of our presentations before, you probably heard this all before, but we're getting close with the mobile app, and we should be launching within the next couple of months. We're targeting 4 key use cases, which are technicians, the warehouse, salespeople out on the road, and delivery drivers. And we're the core functionality of the mobile app, which is your ability to view your customers and your products, run reports, all of that is going to be available for free. And then based on how many users you have in each of those areas, you'll be able to purchase those modules. We'll be supporting iOS, Android and Windows on both phones and tablets. And one of the key advantages of the mobile app we're building is it will work while out of range. So probably less so for any Sydney-based dealers, but if you're out of mobile range and you need to go and put together a quote, or you need to go and service a machine, the app will allow you to do that. It will store that information locally. When it comes back into range, it will automatically upload that. And our EDI. We work really hard with suppliers to try and push EDI ordering the benefits are at both ends. You know, you don't need to worry about manually printing and faxing orders. You get your stock directly allocated. For example, if you're purchasing off ACO, you know, you're going in the same queue as Officeworks and, you know, all the big guys. All your stock gets allocated out of the same pool. So if you can send that via EDI and not have to have someone at the other end, you know, pull your order off an email or a fax and type it in, that means you're more likely to get the stock. And also, you know, your when the stock confirmation comes back, that will be pulled directly into your system. So that means at the receiving side, you already know what's coming in, so you can already start allocating those goods to the sales before they even hit your door. From the supplier side, it's obvious, you know, they don't need to have additional staff, you know, keying in manual orders. So we're hoping to get more and more suppliers on board. Those are some of the suppliers we have available now, and we're talking to others as well. And hopefully with the Office Brands Supply Connects program, we can get even more. So if you are interested in Readysell 8 and or, you know, if you're a new customer and you're upgrading from 7, the best thing to do, you know, as well as subscribing to our mailing list and keeping up to date with our website, you can give it a try. If you go to readysell.com.au/try, you can actually log on and work on a copy of the program and just get a feel for it. And if you want to, you know, take the next step, you can get in touch with Greg. You can talk to him today or send him an email. It's just greg@readysell.com.au. And we can set that up on your own server, and you can start playing with the system with your own data as well. So just on the Readysell 8 side, do we have any questions to answer? No? All right. Well, probably we'll take a break now because the next few sessions are going to be all strung together. I'll be talking about integration for both 7 and 8, some of the new 7 features. And are we ready? I better check first.
I'll do the tissue.
Are we ready, John?
No, not yet.
Not yet? All right. Well, I might run into the next session then. That's if we're not. Happy to do that.
So Adam, with all the EDI suppliers that are available in 8, are they also available in 7?
Yes, they're also available in 7.
Because we only use 2, which is Dynamics and Pelican.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes Pelican doesn't work.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can take a look at that list. I can, you know, send that to you. But we do have some others. We've got the wholesalers. So out of Sydney, we've got V Wholesale.
We use V, we don't use EDI.
We don't use EDI. Well, they do have EDI available. We're working with ACO. We should have something really soon with them. Within weeks, we should have ACO up and running. We're just testing with them at the moment. So they'll be using the same system as Pelican is using.
Right. Adam, with the Pelican EDI, just while you're on that,
Yep.
it actually, I suppose, clarifies or checks the order that is placed and makes you modify the order as part of the Pelican login.
Yeah.
But it doesn't actually modify the order in Readysell, is that correct?
That's correct.
You can't manually change the
You
order.
have to manually change your order in Readysell. Once, our goal with that would be to get the return end put into your system.
Yeah.
So what we have with, we have the ability to import in an acknowledgement from the supplier. And what that does is it will automatically create a purchase receipt in your system with the correct quantities on there that the supplier is going to give you.
Okay.
So once we can get that up and running with Pelican, and I don't have a time frame on that, what that means is you can place that order, and then once, you know, Pelican's system pulls it in, it'll get imported back into your system as a purchase receipt with the correct quantities on it.
Right.
So at that point, you don't really necessarily have to change the order because your receipt's going to have the correct quantities on it. But we could even, you know, create it so that it will update the order for you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, just the last one I did, there was one product they discontinued, so I had to delete it off the order essentially.
Yeah.
So
We do get the issue. The reason that we've gone with that particular system with Pelican and we're introducing a very similar system with ACO is because it's notoriously difficult to get data right in member systems. You know, at the moment, members have the ability, you can import catalogues as you choose, you can create your own products and manage your own codes. And the first time that we tried doing EDI with ACO, we got so many exceptions that I mean, the whole project just failed and we
Yep.
couldn't get anywhere. So the current system for Dynamic and soon to be Acco essentially pre-populates a web order for you, and then you can manage any exceptions. So if your your system has one code that can't find that code, you can correct it on the screen, and it will send that off, via the web. It's that return path that we need to also get in order to, fully automate it at your end. So, and we're aware of that.
And with those tier 1 suppliers, that would be easier if we were taking catalogue loads and that sort of thing, I'd imagine.
Yeah, it definitely would be easier, because Office Brands data is pulled in essentially from those suppliers. So, whenever an update of that supply data comes through, that will flow through to you as well. So the more we can get to the point where we're automating loads of this data directly to your product file, or at least having regular updates of catalogue data and complete updates as well. Because right now, we realise a lot of members, for historical reasons, they don't trust the data that comes from Office Brands, and often they'll choose not to load certain fields of data because they're worried about what it's going to do to their system. We want to get to the point where that trust is back, and you're loading the full data set from the catalogue every time and getting all the benefits of the work that they're doing. Okay. So what I might do now is just show you some of the 8 integration, and what I'll do is we'll just go through until lunch, and then we'll stop and we'll pick it up again when we get back.
On that purchase receipt thing you were just saying, how it's a return path.
Yep.
As far as I'm concerned, a purchase receipt is the receipt I am receiving in the box. I don't really care what the supplier says I'm going to receive.
Yeah, but the supplier should be telling you what they're sending. So you should still scan check it when it comes in. If you're doing scan checking on receiving, and if you're not, we suggest you do. But essentially, what it will mean is, rather than you having to, work out what's coming on back order, so that you set the order off to the supplier and they say, oh no, we've got X on back order, we're going to send you the rest of it. That bit comes straight into your system. Then what you're doing is you're just scan checking against what you actually got in at receiving. And then once you've scan checked it, you'll be able to see straight away if there's any discrepancies between what the supplier said you should be getting and what you actually got. All right. So we'll cover some of the Readysell 8 integration. So this is Readysell 8 if you're new to it. First thing I'm going to do is cover off how we set up a customer for integration. This is very similar to the way you would be doing it in 7 if you're a 7 customer. You just essentially pick up a card, and a card is a combined view of customers, suppliers, prospects, any entity that you deal with essentially, and you can put them into the different categories here. So here we've got a customer, and they've got a contacts tab. And this contacts tab is a list of all the people that you deal with at that particular customer. In the case of the web stuff, we're probably interested in whoever's doing purchasing for them. But as you're pursuing new leads, you put in any person of interest in this list, and then you can check the relevant flags against that person. So if I'll just scroll down the list until I find one who's integrated on the web. There we go. So this person here, you can see that they've got a web ID against them, right? And I'll just pick up my pointer so I can point. All right, so that's a web ID. That is the same as their username on the website, so the name that they log in with when they're about to order. That means you can set up multiple users in this list, so you can do as many as you like. You can just hit that new button and it'll create a brand new user there for you. Each of them can have a separate login, and then whenever that order comes into your system, will associate against the correct card. The second thing that you'll want to do, if they're especially if they're doing contracts, but it's good practice to do it in any case, is to make sure that you've got the organisation name set up. So if I go down here into the settings tab, you've got a section down here called web integration, right? And what you'll see is that we've got a web customer name, right? So this web customer name is the organisation name from the web, and what this does is it ensures that when we upload new contract pricing, it goes to the correct customer. If if it doesn't match, you're going to get error messages back. So we always suggest that you copy and paste that data directly off your web admin to make sure that you don't have any typos. In addition, what you'll see here is this web order approval flag and the minimum for web order approval. So this ties in with what Office Brands, with what Ritesh and Arif were talking about earlier, which is that order approval process. You can set up right from your Readysell that order approval process has to apply. Tony?
Sorry, dumb question. So if I'm customer service and I'm putting in an order just over the phone, does it flash up that approval? So does that web approval go translate through to
No, it doesn't. That's purely for the web integration at the moment.
Because, but I mean, because with how that would be a good thing potentially to have. Because then if I'm on the phone and taking an order, I can say, gosh, that's actually about the purchase and I'm going to need authorisation.
We can take that. Well, we do have ways to do that. So you can do things like set messages to pop up if you exceed a certain amount, but it's not integrated with this web order approval process. So I'll take that on board. And the last bit here is this national account ID. So if you have a national account customer set up that you supply to, you want to get the national account ID that Office Brands has for that customer and pop it in here, and that means that those sales will automatically flow up for your national account reporting. Okay, most of the time, if it's 0, it just means it's not active and you can just leave it that way.
Adam, what about if I've already set up contract pricing, already set it to government, but I have not put the organisation name in and I do it 3 months down the track?
Yep. So you set up contract pricing manually on the web?
No. No, so I've set up contract pricing in Readysell.
Yeah, so I understand what you mean. So whenever this web customer name changes, Readysell will automatically detect that there's been some change in the rules around contracts, and you'll re-upload any contracts. So if you've gone through and you've done all your contracts and all of a sudden they've registered for the website, well, as soon as you put that in and save the card, it's going to go and upload any existing contracts that are currently applicable. Okay. The big difference between the way the contracts work in 7 and 8 is in 7, your contracts are a list of products or departments or categories against individual cards, and those are all sort of just mushed together into a single contract that gets uploaded to the web. Right? It calculates out the contract. The way we've designed contracts in 8 is to more closely resemble the way contracts work in WebEx, and that means that every contract in Readysell is actually mapped to a contract in WebEx. So I'll just show you that. Right. So you can see here, if I bring up contracts in Readysell, you've got a list of contracts here. You may have one per card. You can set up a base contract that you use for a whole bunch of cards. So you say, extra special customers, and then you can go here and you can put that list of customers in against that particular contract. And then you can even set a specific start and end date for individual customers against that contract, right? So you might have your 2015 contract that you're running, and then certain people might go on to the new one on different days, so you can set that all up there. Products tab here, you can see there's you can either put in make a contract apply to all products, and so you can do things like create a discount or a markup from cost for your entire range of products, or you can say specific categories or individual products. You can set those up to have various rules. So very similar to what the contracts are on the web. Now if we go down to the individual product level, you can, and I'll create a new one here, you can say, oops, okay, you can say discount from sell as a percentage, as a value. You can do a GP or a markup from cost. We've even got the ability to match competitors, so that will take the best competitor price and automatically apply that to the customer. So,
on any given day?
On any given day. So if you get a competitor price update that came in and all of a sudden, Officeworks is discounting a product and it's below what you're selling it for, you can choose to match that competitor price automatically. Right? The match competitor thing is going to, with the web, that's a bit more of a problem. It will work, but it will be delayed because the pricing will come off the competitor pricing one evening, and then the next day it'll upload to the web as part of a contract. So it's not ideal in that scenario, but it certainly beats manually doing it. So,
So it's, 24 hours.
exactly, yeah. So that's a handy one, but you want to be careful with that because all of a sudden your pricing is not, it's someone else's pricing. So I've heard stories when they've had these automated pricing systems and they're constantly outbidding each other, and all of a sudden, you're selling products for 1 cent, and that's not really what we want. So that's the contract system, and the way that we work contracts is we have versions now. So whenever you create a contract, it's going to create that as a version 1. So you can see that's a version 1. If we want to make a change to the products on that contract, and you can add customers all you like, but if you want to change the contents of that contract in terms of products or categories or the markup that's on it, you press the new version button up here. What that does is it creates a copy of that contract and it puts it in an inactive state. So it's essentially now a draft. You're working on this contract, you can make whatever changes you need to. When you go and you activate that contract, right, you change it to an active state, that's going to deactivate the previous contract and activate this one. The advantage of that is we can do things like advanced reporting on it. So years down the line, we can investigate pricing things. So why was the price on this product given for this particular amount? Well, version 2 of the contract, you can see you put the price down here. Version 3, you put it back up. Or you can do things like look at on a contract by contract basis what your margins are or what kind of revenue you're getting while that particular contract was running. Now I'll just show you.
Is there any way, and you probably get to it in reporting, but is there any way you can give a customer, like if you do contract pricing, sometimes I might say, like, can you give me what my cost savings were over the last 6 months? So if I had been paying regular retail price opposed to my contract price, with all the products I've bought, what's been my saving? We
can do that with the information we have. I don't believe we have that report at the moment, so certainly we can work on that, and I do believe that's on the roadmap because that's the primary reason we're moving to this version-based model.
Because I like to see how much they've saved.
Yeah,
So,
definitely. And we've got one of the reports that we're developing is a summary, sort of a customer-based summary report, which shows them things like the top products that they purchase, how much, what categories they purchase from, and I believe that's part of that report that we, so it's something that you can give your customers on a periodic basis that says, hey, here's what you gain from shopping with us, and here's what your buying patterns are like, and that sort of thing. So, not yet, but you know about that. Product setup. So it's very similar again to 7. Essentially what it comes down to is this one flag here, display on website. The system will handle pretty much everything else for you. If you tick it on and it's a store product, i.e. a product that you've set up yourself, may or may not have an easy code, it's going to upload that product to the web with all the descriptions and images and pricing that you have in your system. If it's a Office Brands product, what that's going to do is essentially just override the pricing on the web. Right? So that flag should normally be on in most cases, and you can default it in your system to be on for all products if you wanted to. But if you have certain products that you sell that you don't want to display on the web, or you have special products that represent things like credits or vouchers, items that you don't actually sell as stocked items, you untick that and then it won't show them on the web.
And you still have to save the image name as the product code?
You can save the image name as the product code, and the system will pick it up. But you've got a couple of other options. You could populate the image file name into this field here, right? And there is an import that lets you do that. So if you have an Excel sheet that's got a mapping of product code to image file, you can do that. Yes, Ritesh? 5 minutes? Okay. Or the other thing you can do is if you just have individual products and you're just adding images ad hoc, what you can do is this area here is the image field. You can right click on it and go to load, and then you can just browse for an image on your system and save it, and that's going to automatically put that image into your image folder and give it the same name as the product code and save it for you. Right, so there's a number of ways to manage it. You can even manually put stuff in the product folder, and the system will handle that too, in the images folder.
So if I've had the image as a JPEG on my desktop,
Yep.
I could just populate it into that box.
You can just populate it into that box, yeah. I'm not sure if drag and drop works, but you can try it. Yeah, but if you right click it and load, you can browse to your desktop, pick up the image. The system will resize the images for the web, so we'll just pick the largest size image in Readysell that you put in. When we upload to the web, there's two particular sizes. There's one for the thumbnail and then there's the full size image. We'll handle that resizing for you.
Can you do it in 7?
In 7, it's a little bit more restricted. You can't load it into the product that way. You need to make sure it's in the images folder with either the product code or the previous code, or there's a default image ID it's called. So in 7, provided you have one of those 3 codes on it, it will pick it up. But it will do the same thing in that it will resize it and send it up to the web. And the last thing I'll cover off before we take a break is custom price levels. So this is a new thing that we're supporting in Readysell 8. And what it essentially allows you to do is set up a price level that's completely based on your own pricing up to the web. There was ways to do this for 7. It was a fairly manual process. You have to send, do exports and send that data to Office brands and have that loaded in. In 8, what you can do is you can manage your own price levels. So here you can see we've got the standard Office brands levels list of 1, 2, 3 in government, right? And then you've got these 4 levels here which represent the competitor prices. But in here you've got one here that's called Custom 1. That Custom 1 level is mapped to a particular web price level ID and a web price level code. What you can do is you can ask Office brands to set up custom price levels on your WebEx. You'll be given 8 price levels, SL1 through to SL8, and each of those you can map to a particular price level in Readysell. So this is an alternative to contracts in a way. What you can do is you can say, all right, I'm going to have my super awesome price level, and I'm going to have my standard guys price level, and you can either populate every price on that level, or you can work on exceptions. So you can say, use my list as default, but override these particular 50 products, and Readysell will pick up any changes or modifications that you make to prices on those levels, and it will automatically upload it to the equivalent level on the web. What's really useful about that is you can then say in Readysell on a particular card, you can go and you can change their default price level on that card. So I can tell this card to use Custom 1 as the default price level, and it's going to always pick up pricing from that Custom 1 level if it's available, and if there's no pricing on that level, we'll go back to the list, right? So that's, and you can, there are even more complex scenarios which you can talk to us about. So you can do things like have it, rather than drop back straight to list, you can go through another price level, drop back to government, that sort of thing. You can even base a price level on a previous one. So you can say, I want my price level to be list plus 5% or list minus 5%. And that way you don't have to manually maintain those prices.
Did that get programmed in as Office brands member? How did you come about developing that? Is that like a...
Did we... that particular... We've had some feature requests for that. Some members, yeah. We had, for some version 7 customers, we've had this process in place where they would on a periodic basis have an update of one price level from another, or we would have custom scripts for them to do it, because they wanted to be able to work off a particular Office brands level and then just have that adjusted by some percentage. What this feature allows you to do is to have that completely automated, so you don't have to run a process, or it doesn't have to be something that you do from time to time. It'll automatically just know to add 5% or subtract some percentage off another price level.
So we have custom price levels and then combine it with price categories to do calculations for us.
But would you say the trend is increasingly moving away from that?
Probably. We're looking to get back to list, probably, just because there's too much to do.
Yeah. Certainly the more you can simplify your setup, the better. If you can rely on the Office brands levels with a few tweaks here and there, you'd probably be a lot better off.
It Office has a better methodology for
the intel behind list and government is so much more complex.
Yeah.
Like just from January this year.
Yeah, that's right.
Course.
Yeah, and I'd encourage everyone to sort of look at those office brands prices and see the work that they've done there and find out if it's really worth going to that sort of level of customization, because it is, you know, the more levels of changes you put on your prices, the harder it gets to work out. You know, if you have a pricing discrepancy, where did it go wrong? You know, did I have some contract? Is it off the price level adjustment, price categories? There's a lot of ways you can tweak it, but it's not always worth it, I think. So.
And is it right, I've been talking to John Adam about, he's been working on something, you guys have been working on something where some of our units are different to head office.
Yeah,
he's got a,
that's right, yeah. That's something that's coming.
Close.
Yes, it's the next version where, unfortunately, because of the roadshow, we've had to put on hold. We're ready to go on that pretty much. We've got, it's currently in testing. Essentially what we're doing is we're changing, the office brands are now supplying us with the base unit, and then we can now load that as your base unit in your system, and then the relationship between that and the sell and the buy unit, so that becomes your default sell unit, the relationship between that and the buy unit changes, and then it allows you to break up down to the atoms. So if you have...
It was more of a thing where, when I first spoke to John, where head office data says sell it as a box of pens, but we want to sell it as an each.
That's right, and now Office Brands is supplying us the data that we need to fix that, and we just need to roll that out. And the problem with that one is, of course, it's quite complex because it affects your data. All of a sudden, we're going to have to adjust out all your old stock and adjusting all the new stock, and it's a complex process, so that's requiring a lot of testing there.
I understand.
All right, so I better take a break now, and we'll continue on the 8 training and the rest of it after lunch. Thanks.
Everybody, there's sandwich.
Every night we now receive data updates from Office Brands directly from the data portal, and you can choose how you want to deal with that data. So by default, it's going to go into an area of Readysell called the price book, and that's going, every single Office Brands product in 1X, in the data portal, goes into the price book, and the price book is an easy way for you to populate that product information into your product file, or update the product information that's in your product file. Additionally, any catalogs or flyers will load into the catalog section of Readysell, and then when you're ready, you can go and load this catalog, and it will update your product information. We'll load the flyer, and it'll create a contract to ensure that flyer applies. That's the old way, the old paradigm that we brought across from version 7, and that's it requires manual intervention in order to make sure that works. What we're starting to push, and we'll probably, if you're an 8 customer, we'll talk to you guys about it over the coming months, is a fully automated approach where that data is loaded in for you as it becomes available. And the way that works is we have a section in Readysell called Product Import Rules. Now, we don't expect that these rules will be set up by you because it is quite flexible and therefore quite complex, but it's good to have a bit of an understanding how this works. What you can see here is we've got a number of rules in the system, and they've got a flag on them to specify whether they're enabled or not. And these rules pull data from the data portal into different parts of Readysell. So this rule at the moment that you've got here for catalogs and flyers is pulling anything that's a Office Brands catalog product, and that's that filter there. It's going to pull that into the catalog section in Readysell, and that rule's currently enabled. So that means any catalogs and flyers, anything that's basically marked against the catalog in the Office Brands data portal gets pulled in, waiting for you to load it. Similarly, we've got a rule here for flyers auto and flyers manual. So flyers manual, which is currently disabled, pulls flyers into your catalog section, and flyers auto will pull it straight into the contract. So this lets you decide whether or not you want to handle flyer loading the old way, where you manually load every flyer or whichever flyers you want, or you could say, actually turn off manual, turn on auto, and then it's going to, as soon as it updates, it's going to create or update the relevant contracts in Readysell, so those flyers are active straight away. You've got here loyalty products, so this one sort of ties into that loyalty discussion I had before. This is going to pull in any products that are loyalty redemption products straight from the data portal. Price book, which is enabled, and that's, you can see here the catalog products flag is not on, which means it's not limiting just to catalog products. It's going to grab every product, provided it's got an easy code and a name, it's going to pull it into the price book. And this one here, which is currently disabled, is pulling any catalog product directly into your product file, right? So the goal would be to move from having it go from your from the Office Brands data portal to catalogs, and then you having to manually load it into your product file, to going directly from the Office Brands data portal directly into your product file. So turning on this rule is sort of where we'd like to get. The advantage of that is as soon as you have a price change or a description change from Office Brands, that next day you've got that in your system and you don't have to worry about maintaining that. The question we get, of course, is, well, you know, I don't load every catalogue, I don't do education, I don't do furniture, I just want, you know, the comprehensive catalogue, or I just want corporate catalogue. So what you can do is you can actually copy these rules and you can filter them, right? So you see there's a whole bunch of filters here. And so rather than enabling the master rule, we can say, all right, we'll create one product import rule and we'll do it for only catalogues that start with ONCC. And then what we can do is you can put a catalogue filter here called ONCC, and that's going to only pay attention to catalogues that start with that code. So we can create a whole list of rules there that say, all right, I'm going to do this flyer, this flyer, this flyer, and I want to receive that when it comes through, and I want to receive any updates for those products when they come through, but I want you to ignore everything else. So we can get to that sort of granular level, and we're encouraging members to start thinking about this, because it's one less thing that you have to do. You don't have to manage your products, micromanage your products. You just let the system handle it for you. Okay?
Excuse me, is that live at the moment?
That's live. We just, it's just a bit of a learning curve to get used to it, and I think members are used to managing, at least our 7 customers are used to managing everything manually. But you know, we're ready. This is live and ready to go.
So that's currently working, the automated feature?
It is. It's a matter of configuration, right? So we do. You know, it's automatically grabbing every night into your catalogs. That's how your catalogs come into the system. That's how your price book updates. It's just not your system's not configured to bring it automatically into the product file. So we just need to sit down, talk about what rules that you want, and configure that up.
So I need to talk to you about.
Yeah, you can talk to probably John would be the best person to speak to initially, because he's spearheading this project. We really do want to get everyone to the point where they're doing it fully automatically, because it's not, you know, manually managing catalog. Yeah, it's not worth it. So, and then if you have any questions about what's going on, you have an audit log tab here, and this shows you what's been happening every day. So in the case of, let's say we go to price book, you can see here, it'll log down whatever changes were made to particular items in the price book every night. So if you have this turned on for products, you'll see, you know, what product it is, what's happened. So you've got some new products here, or you know, or what changes. So you can see here there was an update of a product, and the government price was changed from $0 to $225.31. So obviously there was no government price in there before, matched on easy code and updated it. So that you still get this full audit trail that you got with the catalogs. The difference is it's automated through this section of the application. And the way that operates is there's, that's sort of back to the task here that I was showing you earlier. Every night you've got this Office Brands catalog import task that runs, and it will just go sweep through and update any products that need to be updated based on those rules that are set up. So was there any questions on that side of things, the automated imports? No? Covered it off? Great. Okay. I'll just quickly touch on the BI integration. So we've currently got a task here that runs once a week on a Sunday night to upload your business intelligence data to Office Brands. if you're part of the BI program that is. It will upload by default your sales data only, and that includes what product you sold, some alternate codes for those products, quantity, price, and a customer code that you sold it to. So some basic sales data which you can then use to do some advanced reporting on the Office Brands portal, see how you stack up against other members, and then Office Brands use that to produce aggregate data that you get emailed every month from Harris, and he sends you, what are the top selling SKUs and which are the growth categories, etc. All that comes out of this BI data that gets sent up. There's a second level of BI, which allows you to upload customer data and contact data that we're starting to put together. Now we've got a couple of members trialling it, but this is the level of BI that we're going to need to get to if we want to use that information for the marketing automation project that Office Brands are working on with Exact Target. So if they get in touch with you about getting some contact data and customer data up, what that is we're going to be sending up your customer codes, names, phone numbers, email addresses, etc. And that will allow you to, from a central location, be able to market to those customers, and as well as do some customer-based reporting on the BI. Right? So that second level of BI, even if you're a member of the BI program now and you're sending up sales data, that second level of BI is probably not turned on for you. So if you get asked about it, we'll just need to turn that on for you if you want to be part of it. And the national accounts and local buyers integration. So I showed you the national accounts code earlier on the card, where you fill that in when you're setting up your web integration. It's a national account ID here, right? That's the first thing you need to have filled in. Regarding national accounts and local buyers, they all rely on that national account ID being filled in. If it's a national account sale, once that's filled in, Readysell will automatically see that it's a national account sale against that ID, and it will upload that to Office Brands. For local buys, typically that's based on a subset of products. So the way that you can figure that is through a contract. So you create a contract for your local buys.
Local buys only in Queensland.
Local buys only in Queensland, so we'll talk about that in Queensland and I'll skip you guys. And that similar program's not going to expand at any stage elsewhere.
Well, you can talk about it conceptually.
Yeah, conceptually it's similar. The idea is, if you have a certain range of products that you're selling on that are part of the program rather than the entire range of products, the way that works is you just go into your settings for a particular contract, and then there's a flag, local buy. You turn that on, anything that's part of that contract will get uploaded. So if you don't have any local buys, then we'll just send up as part of the regular national account sales. So you don't have to worry about that. All right. And I will leave the Readysell 8 integration at that. So do we have any questions about Readysell 8 Office Brands integration? Okay, no? Right, well, I'll move on to version 7 then. Okay. So this is more targeted at current Readysell 7 customers, and like I said earlier, I want to look at certain pain points and queries that come with Readysell version 7 integration, rather than looking at it from a base level where I did for version 8, because it's been running for so long, anyone on 7 should be pretty familiar with how it works. First thing I want to talk about is timing. One of the questions we get is, when will this go up? So from Readysell, what we do is we obviously, anytime a web order comes in from WebEx, that gets pulled straight into your Readysell system. Straight into your Readysell system means anywhere from 5 seconds to 15 minutes typically, depending on the processing time through WebEx. But as soon as WebEx sends it to Readysell, Readysell should import that within 2 or 3 minutes, and that will be in your system. So they will be happening throughout the day. Any EDI orders that you send to suppliers or EDI receipts that come back from suppliers, they also happen throughout the day, and they're on a roughly every 15 minutes to half an hour schedule. Then on a nightly basis in version 7, you're sending up your product descriptions, pricing, images, any contract pricing, and your customer invoices. So the difference between 7 and 8 is obviously 8 will send up your products and descriptions, pricing, and your contracts, every 15 minutes. So that gives you, that happens much faster, and that's the advantage of using those newer technologies. And then on a weekly basis, that BI data will be sent up every Sunday night. So one of the issues we've been facing lately is there's been, from time to time, internet connections go down, or servers are shut down, or crash, and on a Sunday night, your BI doesn't go up. So it will try and send up on a Sunday night. If it can't send up on Sunday, it'll retry again the following night. Okay. Contract uploads. So quite often we get asked, why is my contract not going up to the web? I think I've done everything right, so what's going on? So I just want to cover off that scenario. The first thing you need to do is you need to make sure that the customer in Readysell is linked to the Office Brands web organisation. So there's on the customer's screen in Readysell, there's a change button. So if you find the customer that you're looking for and you press that change button, it's going to bring up the customer detail screen. This web customer field is the number one thing that you need to get right. This needs to be filled in exactly, to the letter, with any additional spacing or capitals or anything like that. It needs to be exactly what's on the web for the organisation name. Yes,
is it easy to do an exception report once a week that pulls in any data that doesn't match?
It is not currently. You will get you should get an exception email, I believe, from ESB if it fails to upload.
Right.
So,
but not why, it's just that the upload started.
Well, it will tell you why, like organisation name doesn't match, it will tell you that. So that's sort of the number one issue that we find as to why. Now people who...
Like proofread your own work and if it works.
Yeah. So what we suggest is that you copy and paste from WebEx. So you just have a process of finding the organisation, copying the organisation name, pasting it in that field, and that, 99% of the time, unless you've stuffed something up, that should be exactly what has to happen. And you'll notice that these fields here are very similar to what I talked about in 8, approval required, minimum order value. Those fields are there so that you can, set up that approval.
So when we spoke earlier this morning, you said that when customers manage that themselves and they go into WebEx, it will automatically update Readysell once that linking is in process.
For the approval?
For anything. So if the customer goes in and sets something up for approval, they might even change their name. They might want to put a C in front of a B.
No, I don't believe they can change their organisation name, but I'm not sure of that.
Okay.
We don't have anyone.
They can't.
No, they can't.
They can't change it.
No. All right, great. So they can't change that. So they can't unlink it.
Okay.
So that's now the way that the approval flags, they go up on the contracts themselves.
Yeah.
So I don't believe they can change that either on the web at the moment. Once the new version comes in where they have that extra functionality, I'll have to talk to Ritesh and see if that's something we need to get a return part for. Okay. And then I'll just cover this cost centre flag in a little bit because that's something where there's a bit of confusion about as well. All right, so the cost centre. This is used for cases where you have customers that have arrangements where they're either purchasing centrally for a number of different departments or cost centres, or where they have individual purchases in different cost centres and they're getting to invoice centrally. So that field with the cost centre, the web cost centre there, can be used in one of two ways. You can either have it linked to the organisation name, or you can have it linked to the address name, right? If you're linking to the organisation name, that's where you have a customer where they have a parent organisation set up in WebSphere and multiple child organisations. So, and then based on the login of the user, they'll go to that correct organisation. Okay? So that's typically the case where you will have multiple people doing purchasing and all the billings coming back to a head office. Right? So you'll probably have in Readysell a charge to set up for that parent organisation, and each of those child organisations are going to be individual customers in your system with that charge to. So in that case, what you would do is you'd fill that web cost centre field with the organisation name that this customer relates to, so be that the child or the parent. The other option is to use the address name, and every address that you set up in WebSphere has a name against it, and this is one that you would use in the case where you have a single organisation but they have multiple addresses set up against them. And this is typically used when you have a a single purchasing officer who's ordering for a whole bunch of different organisation, a whole different bunch of addresses across their organisation. And for that, they log in and then they place the order, and as they check out on that order, they would choose the address from the list that they want that order to go to. So if that's the case, that web cost centre should have the address name in it. Okay, I believe the address name comes on the email that gets sent when the order comes through. Yeah. So if you're not sure what it is, you can have a look at the email that comes in when they place an order, and it'll have the name of that address on that email. And of course, we'll help out if you have any questions. So. That's probably one of the most complex things about that integration is getting it right in the case where you have those parent-child relationships. So speak to us if you get any of those, and we'll help you set it up right. Because once you have that model going, it's really easy to move that over for more customers. Contract uploads. So what types of contracts are valid? Okay. So Readysell 7, unfortunately, because of the difference in the contract architecture between Readysell 7 and the web, WebEx, we have some limitations on the contract that you can upload. Version 8, pretty much anything you put on the contract, you'll know it's going to go up. Version 7, you need to pay a little bit of attention to it. What we support is essentially any contract where you specify an individual customer and an individual product will allow that to be uploaded, or any time when you specify a specific customer type in an individual product. We don't currently support contracts where you're going to apply a specific contract across an entire product range or an entire department. So this is all in a document called the Readysell Office Brands Integration User Guide. So that's the thing to look at if you have questions about it. But essentially, with these, that covers the majority of contracts. When you get ones like this, where you have a really wide scoping contract, we ask that you manually create those ones in WebSphere. And unfortunately, due to the limitations in the current system, those need to be done manually. Store products versus catalog products. So this one's pretty simple. A store product is essentially any product that you create and maintain yourself. You could have an easy code for it or not. So it could be, for example, a product that Office Brands previously had in a catalogue and has deranged. It could be a product that is in the data portal but is not on any catalogue. It's not part of the extended range. It's just some lesser known product, but you've brought it into your system. Or it could be something that you order off a supplier and has no easy code at all. Okay? Those products have all of their relevant fields uploaded to the web along with those products. So you manage the description, you manage the name, the blurb, the pictures, all the pricing, anything you update in your Readysell system that gets uploaded to the web. You can put those products within your own store products category, which is where they'll go by default, or you can put them into an Office Brands category. So if you wanted to sit right alongside all the list of Office Brands paper, you can do that by putting in the correct category name. Catalogue products are the products that are created and maintained by Office Brands. So with those products, you can override the pricing for them, but you can't change the description, pictures, categories, anything like that. So you're not the owner of the product, you just own the pricing that sits on top of it. So the way that you can tell whether a product is a store product or a catalogue product in both 7 and 8 is there's a flag on the product called catalogue product, and if it's ticked, then you know that that's an Office Brands product and you can just update the pricing, and if it's not ticked, then you maintain the lot. If you do change the description or the image or anything, you have the ability to do that in your own system. It's just not going to upload to the web. So the web will still show whatever Office Brands says. The case where that becomes a problem is if you're changing, for example, the unit and the units in the description of the product. So, you might have a particular, a box of highlighters that the Office Brands says, highlighters, yellows, 6-pack, right? And then you want to sell it by the each. You break up that 6-pack. So in that case, if you just change the prices to represent an each and you change the description in your own system, but it's a catalogue product, it's not going to update the description on the web to say each, and it's still going to say 6-pack, but the pricing is going to be for an each. That's going to cause some confusion. So in those cases, we typically suggest that you create your own variation of the code and upload it as a store product, because it's really a different product to what Office Brands is selling. We have a long-term goal of working with Office Brands to find a way to handle that a little bit more elegantly, and to be able to override those descriptions or have more generic descriptions, and be able to rely on the actual quantity, the default cell unit on the product in order to show that description. So we know about that limitation, and we're working on it, but in the meantime you do need to upload your own alternate product code for the same product.
Will that continue in 8, or is that just in 7?
It will in the immediate term. That we do have some improvements in 8 coming, where you can easily break up products down from on an ad hoc basis. So if you are selling if you're selling that 6-pack of highlighters, and you always sell it by the each, you can change the default cell unit to each, and it will automatically do the necessary pricing calculations for you, and sell it by the each by default, or on an ad hoc basis. If a sale comes in and this person only wants 3 of them, you can change it to 3 eaches and it'll work. But that limitation of changing the description on the web, unfortunately, that still exists.
So is there any way to link the Office Brands code to your own individual store code for stock inventory, or you have to manually?
Well, the Office Brands code to your own individual
Yeah.
store
So say I
code.
buy a 6-pack and I buy
Yeah.
10 of them, and then I sell them as each. I'm going to have 60. I'm not going to have 10.
Well, that's part of what we're working on in 8. Is we're changing over to ensure that you always stock it in the base unit. So even though Office Brand says you
Right.
sell a pack of 6, we'll know that that's a pack of 6 and the base unit is an each. So you're always going to stock it by the each, even though you might sell it by the pack of 6. Right. So we have, we're most of the way there with these latest round of changes that's coming out in the next month.
Because I find that so shitty now.
Yeah, it is. It's a tough one,
And you never can keep on top of like the actual true stock.
yeah, we've agreed in concept with Office Brands about what we need to do to change it. It's just it is a major project because it does affect data and it affects everyone's data. So all it's comes down to now is what it says in that description. If you want to sell it by the each and that description still says pack of 6, well then it's going to be confusing for the customer, because even though it comes into your system and you've got it in there as an each, the description still says pack of 6. Yeah. And just if a product does get deranged by Office Brands, the default behaviour for Readysell is to take off that display on website flag, so that that product's not re-uploaded automatically. So if you do have products that get deranged and you do want to continue selling them, we suggest you just tick on the catalog, the display on website flag, and it'll upload those as a store product. Okay. Checking on the status of uploads. So quite often, you'll upload something and give us a call and say, oh, the product didn't go up or the contract didn't go up, what's going on? So we offer a few ways to check the status and find out what's going on. The simplest way is to use the view the web status button in Readysell. There's one here on the product, and then there's another one on the customer to view the contract upload status. If you press that button, it's going to bring up a window. I don't think I've got a screenshot of it, but that window will essentially show you the most recent uploads, similar to what I talked about before for version 8, the status, the date, and you'll be able to check, if last night's upload, was that successful or not. If you want a more overall view, on the main menu of Readysell, there's a tab here called Web Sphere Interface. If you click on that, you'll get a view like this of just reverse chronological order, what are the uploads that have gone through, and what is the status of them. Okay, so it'll just colour code them for you. So here's an example of a message where the name of the organisation name didn't match up. You'll see it says error during checking buying organisation account, organisation name not found under the store. So that indicates to you that that web customer that you put in is not matching something against your store. Most of the time it means that there's been some sort of typo, but it could also mean that maybe that web custom is not properly set up or hasn't been approved. Okay, is there any questions about the Readysell 7 integration? No? She must be doing a good job. Alright.
How
Well-
many people do you have on 8, Adam?
We've got about, I think, 14 members on 8 at the
Yep.
moment. 14.
Any in this room?
Yeah, couple.
Oh. I think so.
Yeah, so what I'll do, next up we've got Greg, and he's just going to, for our 7 customers, cover off some of the things that are new in 7 over the last couple of months.
Which is really